This is Capital Extra. We are Yinka and Shayna Marie, and we have got Jack Rowan, who plays Callum, and we have got Masali Baduza, who plays Sephi from Noughts Crosses, which is coming out on the BBC soon.
Hello.
So you two play the main characters from Noughts Crosses. For those who have lived under a rock for like the past 100 years, can you explain your characters to us?
Yeah, cool. I play Sephi Hadley, and she is the daughter of a Kamal Hadley, who is a politician in Albion. And Sephi is a privileged young black educated girl who has lived her life in a bubble of privilege. And she, the way that Noughts are treated, she hasn't seen before. So when she meets Callum and develops a relationship with him, she's kind of awoken to the way that other people live, and that really inspires her to make a difference in people's lives.
And Callum, on the surface, the opposite of that. So, on the more the oppressed side of society, and kind of, but he doesn't have hate in his heart at all. Like, he's somebody who, even though he's suffered from oppression, he's kind of he doesn't have hate in his heart. He just wants to kind of change. So when as opposed to the rest of the McGregor family, or mainly his brother, he accepts crosses, and he wants to be, as the story goes on, he gets involved in something called Mercy Point, which is they're letting in Noughts for the first time. So, it's like a military, and he's up for it. You know what I mean? And then through that, meet Sephi, and then
the story unfolds.
They form a great friendship and then some,
Nice.
So Noughts Crosses was originally, of course, written by Malorie Blackman, and it's a story that I grew up with. So I feel like I'm very familiar with all of the characters, not just you two, from the books at least. Do you feel the same, Shayna?
Yeah. I read it like when I was like a little girl. So grown up with it, and very attached. Did you guys read the book when you were younger, or like more recently?
Recently.
I
didn't know about it until the show. And they're great books. I wish I'd read them when I was younger as well.
Yeah.
It was, for me, it was like, when the audition came through, it was like any other audition. Oh, going for this character. But then when I said it was based on a book, I was like, all right. So then I found the synopsis and all that. But I tried not to read it through the audition process, because, if you read the book, you get so emotionally attached. And I knew I wanted it anyway. I really wanted it from reading the scripts. And so then actually, once I got the part, being able to read that book for the first time and buying it, going, right, I'm playing this guy. Read it in a different way than I ever would have. I read it with so much emotion, and I just was buzzing. Couldn't wait to do them scenes. Couldn't wait to get stuck in. So it was exciting. Yeah, great books. And I'm kind of glad I
Waited.
read it for the first time when I knew I was playing that guy, because like I say, read it in such a different way.
And what was it like filming for you two? Because you were in South Africa when you were filming, weren't you?
Yeah.
So what was it like?
I mean, South Africa's home for me.
Yeah, so you're from there, aren't you?
So it was great. I mean, it was my first big, TV role, and to film it at home was really great. And I got to show them around my, hometown, which was also really cool. And I think it added an extra layer to film it in South Africa because of the history of apartheid and everything. So it was really special. Yeah,
it definitely added to the intensity to kind of be with a mainly South African crew, and like Masali even as well. To kind of have people go, like someone who may not have read the script go, so is this set in South Africa? Because they're seeing, history which is very close to themselves and portrayed. And like I said, added to the intensity. And also, I mean, South Africa's now ticked off my list, But it also throws you in the deep end. You're 12 hours away from home. You can't just be with your family or anything.
You've really got
you're really in
yourself.
it. Yeah, exactly.
So on set, because the show is quite heavy, it's kind of like a lot of serious topics. On set, what was it like filming? Was it like really fun for you guys, or was it like mirroring the story itself?
I think it was a bit of both. Like, I mean, for us, our filming schedule was so hectic. But some scenes we got really stuck in, like it was a big kind of riot sequences, but then sometimes it was just about Callum and Sephi, and I think every day was so rewarding because we really pushed ourselves as actors, and I think as a whole, the whole experience made us better. We did scenes we've never done before, and I don't know, it was just, I was buzzing after each day.
That's good.
Yeah.
And for you, Masali, what was it like being a South African native and filming something that is parallel but so different to the history of the country? Was it hard to get into it, or did you find it easy?
I found it easy to get into because that's kind of like the history of South Africa, but just reversed. And yeah, it was really like therapeutic to like, you know, play Sefi, play this privileged young black girl who the world is in her favor and the world is always going to be for her, because that's definitely like not the experience of young black girls in the world today. And I hope that young black girls can watch the show and see themselves as excellent and celebrated. And yeah, you deserve to have everything that the world has to offer. You deserve it all. Yeah.
One of the things for me, because we've watched a couple of episodes of it, and I was at the premiere with you guys last night, and one of the things for me watching it was you don't realise how much European culture is just in the world. In the world that we live in. Because when you watch Noughts Crosses, just, you know, when they say Oshe to say thank you, and that's Yoruba, and that's Nigeria, like where I'm from. Or they were saying Madasi, which is thank you in Tree in Ghanaian. And then you start to see like all of the influences. Did you guys feel like you had big boots to fill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because mainly just from the book as well, because it's held dearly to so many people. It means so much. So yeah, there's that added pressure, but it's kind of fueling though. Like it kind of makes you go, wow, like I'm actually part of something that feels like it's important and it's unique and it's special, and it won't be forgotten, which is really rewarding.
Yeah, and I also say that like I've never really seen African culture celebrated to this extent on TV before. So having, you know, speaking Yoruba and learning Yoruba through the show was really, I think, important, and exposing the world to how excellent African culture is such an important part of the show.
I think that was really nice, even like down to like the costumes. So even what everyone was wearing was really nice. So yeah, I think really important.
And for me as well, like the hairstyles, like, you know, the Prime Minister just wearing gele casually on a Tuesday. It just, it makes you really happy, and it kind of makes you almost realise, I wonder how the average person in England is going to watch the show, and if they're going to resonate with it the way that like I do, and I see the jewellery and the print that means something. I wonder.
What do you want people to learn from Noughts Crosses?
I hope that people who hold any position of privilege and power in the UK and in the world really can watch the show and be inspired to change things in their own small communities, because I think that's where it starts. You can't really change the world on a global scale if communities themselves are living in a way where people are oppressed and privileged people hold all the power. So I think, for me personally, I hope people can follow Sefi's trajectory and use your privilege to help people who are struggling.
Yeah.
And yeah, like on top of that, like, you know, me personally, like being born in London, like London is a very multicultural place. So I've been very lucky to be born here, but there is a certain level to Callum's journey in this story where hopefully someone who may never, who've kind of been sheltered their whole lives, has never kind of ever had to experience racism, for example, can watch it in a different way. They're looking at someone who looks like them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can, in simple terms, kind of put themselves in their shoes. And yeah, I think it does have the capacity to help people learn. And you know what? I just think it's a beautiful thing to look at. Like you say, with the very traditional African clothing and hairstyles, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to mention as well with Sefi, like, or with Masali, like when we were in the scenes together, like we did lighting tests before we started shooting, and like we've got such a contrast in our skin tones, yet we're both beautifully lit in the same shot.
Yeah.
Even that's beautiful to look at, which maybe
and that's
can go
rare
over
as
someone's
well.
head. Yeah,
that's really rare, because it's rare that you find people who can like black people properly.
Yeah, because it tends to go with maybe it goes with that kind of like, oh, they just use the same lighting for everyone, but it doesn't work.
But it doesn't work all the time, of course.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've learned a lot.
100%. How could I not? Just by talking to people as well,
Yeah.
just by being involved, how could I not become more informed as a result? but also going into it, like I said, I was born in London, very multicultural place, so I'm definitely not ignorant. Do you know what I mean to it all? Like, but yeah, 100%.
I think that whilst it is a very heavy tale and it is very sort of like weighty, I think a story like Noughts Crosses costs a lot to kind of invest in.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's really beautifully shot and some of the scenes are really playful and you guys actually look like you had a good time shooting it as well. Do you know what I mean? Did you find a balance in that? Because you kind of have a lot on your shoulders telling this story that's so familiar to people, but also tackling a subject that is so sensitive nowadays as well. So did you feel like you there was a balance there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, funny enough, like yesterday when we did a panel after the show, like I said it then, I'll say it again, like I love doing the scenes with Callum and Sephi because it felt like the world just took a break for a second and it wasn't about the world, it wasn't about the politics and the, you know, the social structure. It's about these two people who are falling in love and if the world was different, they could have had a very happy life, a very easy life, and yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And it just mirrors, you know, the world we live in today where people are judged, you know, based on the color of their skin and who they choose to love. Yeah.
I think it's nice that you said that because I think that's really clear in the book as well, that if it was outside world, it didn't matter and it was just these two, then it would be amazing. So just for you filming those scenes and just to like get it so spot on, I think that's amazing.
Thank you so much. I feel like we did have a nice chemistry. Like I think, and we were allowed to, because the directors and the team, we were never afraid to take risks, and I think the whole cast would say that. But when it came to Callum and Sephi, we go on such a big journey as actors and as people. Yeah, like a great partner. Like
Yeah, I've said it before, and I'll say it again about Jai because I felt like he would give so much to me when he wasn't on camera, when it was my close-up, because that just goes to show how much he really was invested in the show and how much he cares about, you know, putting this love story, making it believable, showing that, you know, showing a true first love.
Yeah.
And likewise.
So you've
So cute.
this is so cute. So you've been to South Africa, you've shot season 1 at least, and you're now back here. You're talking on Capital Extra.
Yeah.
Are you
Thanks for having
worried?
us.
Oh yes, all right. Are you worried about how people are gonna receive it, how they're gonna digest what you've created?
Yeah, I think it for me personally, I know that, you know, watching the show is going to make people uncomfortable, but I think that's really important because the best conversations and the best change comes from uncomfortability and really tackling things that are outside your comfort zone. And change is hard, but like we have to, I think this is the first step in allowing people to move in that direction.
Exactly. Yeah. Just embrace everything that comes because of what we've created. Everything's a conversation start. Even if somebody was to hate on our show, the question is, but why? Why are you hating on it? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think it's a very special show and it's unique. So I'm looking forward to it all.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
He says that now.
Yeah.
He's ready for it.
Hopefully more good than negative.
No, I think
Definitely.
Yeah, same.
So in the last 12 months or so, we've seen things like Blue Story, Top Boy, Queen and Slim. Have you seen Queen and Slim? Very,
it's excellent.
It's on
good
the list
film.
though. It's on the list.
Oh, you should watch it. It's great.
Yeah. Those kind of shows and films put race at the forefront of their stories. Why do you think now is a good time for Noughts Crosses in line with those other things?
Well, I think because Noughts Crosses, it's been a story which it's been in a book for so many years, and it's been those who may have read it when they were younger are now adults, and it's still in the syllabus in school. People are doing it in drama. People are doing it in English because it's a story that it's so thematic. Like the themes in that story are so I don't know, like great. There's way more. Maybe on the surface, the show can just be seen as like, oh, people are segregated through race, but it goes way deeper than that. It is about class as well. It's about, and just little things like our first scene in episode 1, police brutality. And if I'm honest, like we see it every day on Instagram and stuff. It tends to be in America, and it tends to be white police officers attacking young black males. And immediately our first scene takes something which is so relevant and flips it on its head. I just think it's just relevant. In every way.
Yeah. Nice.
What about you?
Yeah, everything that Jack said. And I think that I think racism has always been there, and it's not going away anytime soon. But I think now people are ready to have a serious conversation about it, and you know, stories like Queen and Slim, we're ready to see it, you know, portrayed in film and TV. I think it's the perfect time because I think people are getting to the point where it's just like, yo, guys, like we've had it, you know, we've really honestly had it, and let's change the world we live in because it's up to us, you know. We can't expect, you know, people empowered to make, you know, grave decisions and changes if we're not like, dude, do something about
Ready for it.
And just to quickly add to that as well, like amongst the bigger picture, like even if we take, let's say, the McGregor boys, the brothers, myself and Jude, it's like even that is a relevant thing. Like these two have a brotherly bond, right? They're brothers. They stick together through everything. Yet something happens to them where their mindsets dictate the direction they go. And I think even that's relevant with nowadays with politics, let's say, or with the recent Brexit thing. It does break up friendships. It's broken up families. It's broken up just because of opinions. And I think that happens as well between the brothers. Their mindsets. I believe this, but I believe that. And then they break. Yeah. They go. And that's a shame, right?
Yeah.
Really very sad.
I think it's like kind of a reflection of loads of different tiers of interaction between people. So be it, you know, based on race or based on love or class or family or friendship, it's kind of like an observation. That's what dystopia is really, isn't it? It's
so
like
many different themes.
This, but
also this.
So on a lighter note, you know, did you guys listen to like any music like on set to get ready or in your dressing rooms to get pumped up?
Obviously, all we do is listen to music.
That's all we do.
That's our shows, just music and just chat.
Yeah.
I had playlists. I had a playlist for Callum. I had a playlist for Lacan. So with Callum, it was all, you know,
romantic. Sexy stuff.
Yeah.
No, but slow down time.
Yeah. And I also added some Afrobeat there when I was listening, when it was getting ready for like the inauguration scenes and the party scenes. So yeah, I made sure to whatever the emotion was, I created
just
my
fit
playlist.
the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And same, our exec producer, and he was his name's Kibwe Tavares, and he was also part of the world building in a very, he was literally like the main guy, wasn't he? He sent me, before filming like loads of films, documentaries and whatnot, but he did also send me a playlist. And yeah, it was just really nice. Like, I remember listening to the playlist for the first time. I couldn't have been in a more like less like I'll put it this way, I was in Connemara, which is a tiny place in Ireland, in a caravan with my grandparents, listening to like Afrobeats.
Listening to Burna Boy.
Yeah, it is. But I was going like, yes.
This is great.
But it really, because that was before we even started shooting, and like the music kind of put you in a, like you can't help but move.
Yeah.
And you go, oh man, can't wait to
get there.
Yeah.
Did your nan look at you a bit funny though?
Yeah, they were looking at me like, what's he listening to? You know, but
Jack, you were in Peaky Blinders before this, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you have to make a decision to leave that to start?
Yeah, well, it was one of those, like when I first joined Peaky Blinders, it was I didn't have an option or anything. It was just for season 4, and then like luckily the character was received well, so they had plans to go on with him. But obviously there's a gap in filming, and it was in that gap where I landed this, and I think it was just a choice really of like, do I carry on doing this or do I take a risk and go for this show? And to be honest, like I'm a young guy, and it was the opportunity to lead a show was what I wanted to do. But Peaky Blinders are great. Like, they were so nice to be able to give me, a dignified end, and not just write me out or not just recast me, let's say. They actually went, well, no, screw it. Let's give him, like, even the line when I die in it, you farewell fighter boy, you died well. And it's nice. Just, yeah, it's nice, Yeah.
Tingles.
No, but my journey on that was so special. So I didn't, I was happy that I was able to get an ending which felt right for the character.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
We really appreciated you just spending time and getting all deep with us.
It's been a pleasure.